player. That's Dereck Lively from Duke. Because when I do all my fantasy translations for Dynasty Leagues, I did them all, and sitting there at number 5, or I think it was number 5 or 6, is Dereck Lively. I go, hang on. What are we doing here? Like, this guy has jumped way up, and it was very reminiscent. Not exactly the same because Walker Kessler's numbers were more insane last season, but Walker Kessler jumped out as like the number 3 fantasy rookie when I did those translations last season. I went, is this actually real? Can this guy play? Because these numbers are insane. And yeah, it turns out he could play. And now we've got a similar situation developing with Dereck Lively. He's a 7-foot center from Duke. He's just turned 19. I've got that draft range from a whole bunch of mock drafts that I did where he's got 10 to 25. Is that 10 you? You got him at 10?
No, I don't have him at 10, but I would take him at 10. If I did a draft based off of how I would do it, I would have him at 10. But I'm also trying to factor in what's probably realistic and so on. But no, I would take him at 10 from Dallas.
So the number one thing that stands out to me about Lively, obviously, 4.2 blocks per 36 is a crazy number. We know that he's a really good rim protector, but 11% usage. Like, the guy doesn't do anything offensively. He doesn't take any shots. Now, is this a factor of the team? Is it Duke? Is it him being just a low usage guy who just does everything else? Because we see centers who turn into low usage players in the NBA who have had bigger numbers in college and have been able to do a little bit more. But that's a comically low number, or under 12% usage. So what does that mean for his offensive game and how that might limit his overall impact?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with just college basketball. The spacing isn't there. In the NBA, I see him as a roll man, a vertical lob threat. And in college basketball, how often do you see teams run pick and rolls with their center? So the low usage, it doesn't concern me, but I get why other people would be a little turned off by it. I mean, how often do you have a guy that averages like 3 points per game that is people are talking about possibly being a lottery pick? But I think like Dallas, for example, if he goes to Dallas, he has his point guard or his playmaker in Luka Doncic, and the floor is spread because Dallas has shooters. And his role is to run the floor, set screens, catch lobs, block shots, and rebound. And I think he can do that. And what I like about Lively is we're talking about a guy that was very impactful on the defensive end this year without getting touches. Now, back in the day, they always said if you reward the big man, he'll play defense, he'll rebound. So he was doing all this, making great effort defensively, knowing that he wasn't going to get the ball. There were times where he would set a screen and he wasn't even rolling to the rim. Now, part of that is his fault. He should still roll, but I just think that he knew he wasn't getting the ball. And so I think if you even, like I said, have a guy like Luka that can reward him, then I think that cranks up the defensive intensity even more.
Yeah, that's the Memorial Hassan Whiteside post-up to start the game. Like, give him the ball, and then hopefully he decides he wants to play for the rest of the game on the defensive end, which is such a common thing amongst big men. Now, again, the thing that's standing out there is 4.2 blocks per 36. We saw Walker Kessler's numbers insane last season. Like, where does Lively fit as a shot blocker? He's obviously got the size. Like, they are strong numbers. They're some of the best numbers we've seen come out recently. Is he a guy that can translate that straight across into the NBA? Do you think he can be an impactful rim protector, but also rim deterrent?
Yeah, I think so. And I think he's probably a little bit more mobile and coordinated and agile, can defend out in space and on the perimeter better than Walker Kessler. I always have to slow down because I want to call him Kessler Walker. But yeah, I definitely think that Lively can be a little bit more effective in space. Maybe not as great. I mean, as a rim protector, but if he's a little bit less as a rim protector but better in space, then I think it's a win.
Yeah, that's going to be my next question. Like, what happens if he gets switched out into the perimeter? Like, is he toast? Is there, can he hold up for a few seconds? Because obviously the comparison there is going to be Rudy Gobert, a guy that protects the rim and sometimes gets in trouble in the playoffs, which I think is significantly overblown at times, but can hold up for 2-3 seconds out on the perimeter, but not a guy that's going to get like roasted completely out there. Like, so does Lively can he do that? Can he hold up for a little bit? Has he got quick enough feet to do that?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so. The only concern is, and I've heard it from some people, is that does he have the toughness of Walker Kessler? Like, the physical tools are there, the length, the shot blocking, but if it's the little intangible of the grit and the toughness, and that's probably the biggest concern. But if he has that, on top of the flashes of shooting. Even though he didn't show it at Duke, I was just in Chicago, and I had a chance to watch him work out a few times. And it wasn't like I was invited. It's just Clutch came in really, really late and had their guys work out.
Yep.
And I was still in the arena uploading videos for the podcast because they had great Wi-Fi. And I just had a chance to watch him work out at least 4 times. And he's a solid shooter. I mean, he was knocking down corner threes and from the slots. And I think that obviously he's a much better shooter than the 2 for 13 from 3 indicates. But I think there is potential for him to be a stretch pick and pop guy.
Well, that was going to bring me to the next question because he came in as, like, according to some services, the number 1 recruit coming out of high school. Yep. ESPN 100, he was number 1, and that can't be just because he, could do some dunks and block some shots. It's got to be something else to his game. So did he flash some more of that stuff through AAU and youth circuits and things like that, like with more offensive game?
Yeah, he took, I want to say, like in the Nike EYBL out of the summer before, he took 38 threes. I forgot what he made, but it was a respectable amount. I mean, it wasn't like 40%, but it was a respectable amount. And he did show some flashes of shooting touch. Actually, coming into the season, my concern for him was he going to be one of these guys that settles for too many threes? And because I didn't think he was the most physically dominating guy. I thought he did have a tendency to kind of float out a little bit and not necessarily post up. So I thought he was just going to settle for a lot of threes, and he ended up just not settling for any shots unless it was just a wide open dunk.
Just never taken them at all. We're going to get to a guy.